This is the Good Government Show.
I tell people that we tell the story of America from fur trade to nanotechnology. It's creating the expectation among the community that government should work at the lowest possible level. So you shouldn't have to call the mayor to get a pothole filled. I think the way that you build trust is by saying that you're going to do something and then do it, and then doing that over and over and over again. I got in office, I'm the mayor, and I'm here to tell you, like, there are no magic powers. There was not a little magic wand in the desk when I opened the drawer. I don't have a cape. I can't fly around the city and prevent bad things from happening. I've always been willing to be at the table, and I think that helped to prepare me, but I never thought I'd be at the head of the table.
Albany, not New York City, is the capital of the state of New York. And on this episode, I talk with Kathy Sheehan, the mayor of Albany, and she explains how Albany is more than just a giant state office building. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm Dave Martin. I live in New York State, in Brooklyn, and I've been up to Albany a few times for work, reporting on different stories through the years. But on this episode, we get to hear about Albany beyond the state capitol, which, by the way, is a really architecturally beautiful state house. But first, help us share the message of good government by liking us and sharing us where we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Please share our show with your friends and don't forget to review us. Let's get everyone excited about good government. Okay, so here's a fun fact. Albany's population almost doubles during the state legislature sessions. Doubles. That's a lot of folks coming into the city of some 100,000 permanent residents, with many of them living there at least part-time, and we talked about that. We talk about some of the programs Mayor Sheehan has been able to start, including making major gains in renewable energy and showing what a city can do to create and meet energy goals. And she explains how they cut down on auto thefts, and wait to hear how. With the dual challenges of hosting the entire state for almost half the year, but also providing for year-round residents, the mayor has a full agenda. Coming up, the mayor of Albany, New York, Kathy Sheehan. AI, the cloud, security solutions, all hot topics that are transforming how government works. Amazon Web Services is here to help government on the federal, state, and local levels figure out what's next and what's right for them. Join Amazon Web Services at the DC Summit in Washington, D.C. on June 10th and 11th and learn from industry leaders. You can participate in technical sessions and get hands-on training. You can hear directly from AWS experts who understand what government needs and network with others who are working just like you. Get up to speed on the latest information and plan your technology future with the support you need and want. Register now at aws.com/DC Summit, and I'll see you in Washington. AI isn't the future of government, it's happening now. Let Polimorphic power your government with AI like other agencies are already doing. Polimorphic helps you power resident-first service to streamline requests while reducing staff workloads and speeding up how your citizens get answers. It's a secure system that's built for government. You'll see immediate results with more informed citizens. Want to see how AI can help you power a service-first government? Visit polymorphic.com. That's polymorphic.com. County government affects more people than any other form of government. That's why we like talking to so many representatives of county government here on the Good Government Show. They are the voice of public service. The National Association of Counties, or NACO, supports all 3,069 counties across the USA. This year, their annual conference is in Philadelphia in July. Plan to attend the conference and join them in their efforts to bring good government to America's counties. Check out the details at naco.org. That's naco.org. Welcome to the Good Government Show. I'm happy to have with me the mayor of Albany, New York, Mayor Kathy Sheehan. Welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. I'm a New Yorker, so thanks for taking care of the capital city.
Well, I try.
Okay. So you are a capital city, and I know we just talked about this a little bit before we turned the mics on, but what's it, how do you manage hosting the entire state half the year, everyone coming to Albany?
Well, we are a city of neighborhoods. So for those of us who live in Albany, we think about the historic architecture that we have in our city, the incredible parks and neighborhoods and local restaurants. And so, those of us who live in Albany think of Albany very differently than sort of the Albany that you think about when you think of state government. I often remind my state legislators when they complain about Albany that they're really complaining about themselves. They're the ones who come here.
Okay.
And they're not complaining about my incredible, beautiful city. But we are, I think, also benefiting from the fact that we have lots of people who come to our community who really care about New York State. They care about the communities that they represent. There are great ideas that get incubated in the city of Albany and then go out and are implemented across the state. And so we really benefit, I think, from being the state capital and having access to diverse points of view and a lot of people who are really trying to be innovative and make their communities a better place.
And you get a lot of temporary residents, I guess. So do they take Albany with them when they leave?
We want for those who are spending 6 months out of the year to think of Albany as their second home. And it's really important that we are doing all that we can to make sure that it is a great place to come and work and live. And I have people tell me all the time that, they're a constituent, even though they're only there 6 months out of the year. But I want to foster that sense of ownership, that sense of this is a place that is important to me. We're a city that almost doubles in population every day with people coming in from the suburbs, coming up from New York City to do the business of state government. But also we are home to 2 very large hospitals, to the University at Albany, to a lot of incredible not-for-profit institutions. And so we want to really foster a sense of civic pride in the city of Albany, even if those people are just coming in to work in our community.
I guess I would have to include myself in this mix. I've been to Albany a few times. I come up, I go to the Capitol, I do my reporting that I have to do, and then I leave. What would you like people to know about Albany beyond the sort of Capitol corridor there?
Well, we're an incredibly historic city. We were first settled in 1624. We received our first charter in 1686. We're the oldest continuously chartered city in the country. And so we still operate under that 1686 charter. It's been amended a few times.
I hope.
And we are, and we're a Dutch city. So we were founded by the Dutch. And even after the British took over, we continued to have mayors of Dutch ancestry for 100 years. And so that is...
Kathy Sheehan's not Dutch.
I am not Dutch. I'm not Dutch. The Irish took over about, I don't know, we've been in for quite a while. Mayor Whalen, Mayor Jennings, and now myself. But we are.
I can't wait for people to see a picture on our website. So go to goodgovernment.com and you'll meet Kathy Sheehan. Go ahead.
But we are a city of neighborhoods. People are proud of where they live. They will tell you that, even though we're only 20 square miles. People will say, I grew up in the South End, I grew up in Arbor Hill, I grew up in West Hill, I grew up in Pine Hills, and people love their neighborhoods. We have people who are very involved in neighborhood associations. That's a big thing for us, and that's where people go to make sure that they're advocating for what they want for their neighborhood.
Let's delve into a little bit of history here. Everyone, I think probably one of the most missed questions, what's the capital of New York, New York City? How did Albany become the capital?
Well, my understanding is that the capital originally was south of us in Kingston, and then it moved up to Albany. Albany was really the hub for New York City. I mean, there are those who opine that Manhattan wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Albany, because the New Netherlands. This is
not someone from Manhattan who said this.
This is so that the Dutch settled in Manhattan, New Netherlands.
Yes.
And they sailed up the Hudson. They would engage with mainly Native Americans to go into the forests, hunt beaver.
Right.
They'd come back, they'd buy those beaver pelts from the Native Americans, they'd bring them back down to New York City and ship them around the world. And so we were a very important part of the economy of the New World, and that continues. I tell people that we tell the story of America from fur trade to nanotechnology. And so being the beginning of the Erie Canal, a nexus for the railroads, lots of commerce had to pass through Albany.
And I wouldn't say it's central to the state, but it's certainly more accessible than Manhattan for most of the rest of the state.
Well, certainly, and I think it was pretty common. It was
New England.
Yeah, it was pretty common in states that they didn't want their big city to be the capital. That it was a compromise politically to smaller cities and to the agricultural community to choose a place that wasn't the big city.
Okay. I want to talk about a couple of things that you're doing now as mayor. Tell me about Cities Forward.
Well, I think that in looking at opportunities to benefit from the best ideas that are happening in other places, it's so important to collaborate with other cities and to learn and to have the opportunity to take a deep dive into what's working and what's not working in other communities. And so, oftentimes people in Albany will say, why are you participating in this program? Why are you going to this conference? And I say I always learn and I always bring things back to our city that help to move us forward.
We're here at the Conference of Mayors in June 2024. What are you taking back to Albany so far?
Well, we are really focused on the investments that are being made by the CHIPS and Science Act and making sure that we are doing all that we can to continue to grow that ecosystem, not just in the city of Albany, but we're part of the capital region.
Right.
I say we're part of a region that's 4 cities, 4 counties. We have the University at Albany. We have Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. We have, in our MSA, we have 21 colleges and community colleges. And so we have the ability to continue to attract investment. We have a chip fab just a bit to the north of us, the Albany College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering in our city. And so really working to have the relationships so that we can attract that investment and continue to build and grow that industry is going to be really important to the future, not just of the city of Albany, but to the region. And those folks are here at this conference. And so that's another one of the reasons why I come here, so that you can create those relationships and have them put a face to a name and have the conversation about why this is so important to me and to the city of Albany.
And you get to call up someone and say, listen, how did you fix this?
Well, absolutely. And I love seeing what really works in different communities. And I think every community has to find their own why and their own thing that is really important. It can't be artificial. And so, we talked yesterday with a bunch of cities about their secret sauce. And every city's secret sauce is different, and it should be. But there were some really good ideas on how to elevate that secret sauce. How do you know it? How do you market it and then make it accessible to people who are coming to your community, either wanting to locate a business, they're looking for a place to expand, or coming as a tourist or a visitor, or deciding that they're going to come to a university or a college near you. How do you make sure that they understand that brand and that you're then delivering on that brand value?
I understand you've made some inroads in renewable energy programs in your city. Tell me what's going on.
Well, we have an Office of Sustainability that is really phenomenal. And, it's one of those things that, I'm such a nerd. I get very wonky about these things. But when I first became mayor, we inherited an energy plan that had been done for us by the New York Power Authority and NYSERDA, which is another entity in New York State, where they took the 5 biggest cities outside of New York City and they helped us create an energy plan and a way of ensuring that we were doing all that we could to hit targets with respect to carbon reduction. And I inherited that. It was my first year in office. They presented the plan. We had a big celebration about it.
Did you go, oh my, what have I gotten myself into?
Well, but I sat down with them and they said, how can we help in the next phase? And I said, I don't have a single person who works for the city of Albany who can implement this plan. It's not in anybody's portfolio. This job does not exist. And we're broke. And we were broke.
Oh, and by the way.
And by the way, we're broke. So you could pay.
You were the treasurer before you were mayor, correct?
Right. I knew we were broke, yeah. I was hoping I would find, little caches of money somewhere when I became mayor, but it did not exist.
No, nothing?
Yeah. But I said, I need a person. So you could fund a position for me that would be responsible for helping us to implement this. So
sort of an omnibus overseer, coordinator.
And to my great delight, they said yes.
Oh.
And I said, if you pay for this position for 3 years you're telling me we're going to have all of these savings, so then I'll be able to absorb the position because I'm going to have all of these savings. And that's how it worked. But it was me saying, this is going to just sit on a desk unless I have a person.
Okay.
And I can't afford the person. So for a very small investment, we have taken incredible amounts of carbon out of the environment. We've saved millions and millions of dollars for our residents. And we've created not just this director position that was created, but now he has a staff, we have fellows, and we are really moving the needle with respect to what a city can do on ensuring that we meet our energy goals by 2030. We have 2030 goals, 2050 goals, and that happens because you've got to have the right people, and you've got to have them have the ability to actually implement and move this forward. So, our sustainability office has helped us with our regulations around white roofs. We're an old city.
Right.
Just taking roofs, and instead of having the black, we have a lot of flat roofs.
Right.
Painting those white does a tremendous amount to reduce energy consumption. So from the little things to the bigger things, building out our electric infrastructure for electric vehicles. I have commissioners that are really looking now at the bigger trucks, right? How do you, it's one thing to have electric cars. How do you have an electric garbage truck? So this is the type of
do you have one
innovation.
Yet?
We don't yet.
Okay.
We do have electric street sweepers.
Okay.
But
are they working?
They're great, but it's making sure that is part of what you're thinking of throughout the organization. So sustainability, reducing our carbon footprint, that has to be not just this person that we were able to hire on sustainability, but he's been successful and we've been successful in building that into the culture of all of our departments.
This sounds like good government to me. So let me make sure I understand this. You had a plan to save energy. You said, I can't do this alone. Pay for somebody to do this. And with the savings, after 3 years, we'll be able to fund this. And that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
That's pretty good. And now you have and so with the savings, you're able to actually build out a staff, and it's paid for, and it's part of the budget, and you've made money on the whole deal. Absolutely.
We bought our streetlights from our utility, from National Grid, and we converted all of them to LEDs, and the savings continues to be roughly between $2 and $3 million a year.
Which is enough to fund a staff.
More than enough. It's enough for me to not have to raise property taxes as much as I otherwise would have.
Okay, and I'm sure that everyone loves that. So you have been the mayor for, I think you said 11 years, and you've decided that this is next year's your last year. Many questions about this. Why did you decide to step down?
I think that everybody has a shelf life.
Okay.
And I also think it's important that we as leaders recognize that there will always be work to do, and there will be people who will want to do it differently or see things through a different lens, and that's good for a community. And so I love what I've done, and it is incredibly demanding, and nobody forces me to do it. I've loved doing it, and it's time. And I think that recognizing that even though somebody might not do it the way I did it, it's going to be okay. Having trust in democracy, and
are you going to be able to let go?
And having faith that the voters are going to decide this, and I don't know who they're going to elect, but I believe that I have created a lot of good foundational changes in how we operate as a city, that those changes will carry forward. And so it's creating the expectation among the community that government should work at the lowest possible level. So you shouldn't have to call the mayor to get a pothole filled.
Okay, but they do.
They do.
Yes.
But
they stop you in the store, in the street?
I can point to the data that shows that if you use our app, See Click Fix, and you tell us that there's a pothole, I can track how long it takes us to fill that pothole. And I can track how many potholes we're filling, and I can communicate that back to our residents. And so it should work at that that level that you're calling. My garbage didn't get picked up this morning. That phone call shouldn't have to come to my office. It should be able to go to our Department of General Services, and it should get addressed and fixed. And that happens more times than not. And that's because we've empowered people to do their jobs and to do it in a way that takes into consideration the entire city, not just certain neighborhoods or certain people.
What have you learned in your almost 12 years as mayor?
What
have you learned about the job, and what surprised you?
Oh, wow. What I've learned about the job is that it is really important to hire people who are really good at what they do. So I don't have a clue as to how to deploy plows in a snowstorm where we're going to get 36 inches of snow.
However,
but I've hired someone who's really good at it.
Okay.
And so,
is that hard to find, especially in a city like Albany?
I've been able to find really good people, and I have some commissioners who have been with me since day one.
Okay.
And that to me has been really gratifying. I have folks who are passionate about our community. They're doing what they're doing because they want to make a difference in our city. And that's really a wonderful thing to see, because then that also creates a culture that makes its way down throughout the entire organization. And so for me, it's making sure that we have the resources in place for them to do their jobs. I don't want to ask somebody to do something and then not give them the resources that they need to do it. And so one of the things that I have done and try to do as a leader is to say, I'm asking you to do this, right? We need to build a community center before I'm done in 2025. But I don't just then walk away and say, get it done.
Yes.
I say, what do you need in order to accomplish this? Do you have the right people? Do we have the right resources? What do we need to make sure we have in place so that you can accomplish this?
When you step down, what do you think you'll be doing next?
I have no idea, and I don't want to think about it. I want to give myself some space to really consider what might be next. Elective office is challenging, and it has,
I'm sure,
gotten way more challenging over the last few years. And those of us who led through COVID, I think all kind of wear our battle scars.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to stepping away from that a little bit, because I do care. And, people are of a mind that they think that the mayor should have the power to fix everything.
Right.
And that if something goes wrong, it has to be the mayor's fault. And I understand that sentiment, and I don't shy away from it. I want to be accountable to people, but I look forward to kind of stepping back and thinking about what the skills and experience that I've built up over the years, how I can channel that in a different way to help my community.
There is a certainly increased distrust in government and in political leaders. And over 12 years, you've probably seen a almost sea change. How do you manage that?
I think it's really relentless communication. People are going to assume.
So get on podcasts, tell your story, things like that?
Well, we're big with public meetings, with making sure that we're engaging our neighborhood associations, community-based organizations. And we want them to know that, I'm not walking into a room with a foregone conclusion. I'm asking you because I really don't know the answer. And I want to know what you think the answer should be. And so we're, as I said, building a new community center in West Hill, the most under-resourced neighborhood in the city of Albany. It's going to look very different from a community center in a suburb. It's going to look very different from a suburban model YMCA. It is going to address the needs and the desires of the people who live in that neighborhood. And I think for so many years, folks who lived in formerly red line neighborhoods felt as though they were made a lot of empty promises. And I think the way that you build trust is by saying that you're going to do something and then do it, and then doing that over and over and over again. And that's what I've done. And people are still suspicious, right? They still worry,
Yes.
right? They love their neighborhood, and they worry. They don't want somebody coming in and gentrifying their neighborhood or bringing something that's going to be harmful to the neighborhood. And that distrust is earned because bad things happened in the past. There was a facility that literally I can see from, I live in Arbor Hill, I moved to Arbor Hill, and I can see it from my home that used to spew, it would burn garbage. It was a burn plant. And it would spew ash into this predominantly black and brown neighborhood. And so, yeah, bad things have happened in the past. And so building that trust and making sure that people see themselves as a partner in their own governance is something that takes a tremendous amount of effort. And it can be exhausting. And when you think you've had...
Hence the one more year to go.
When you think you've had too many meetings about it, you find out that you haven't, right?
Yeah.
And so that I think is what good government really is.
Okay. We're going to talk more about good government. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back.
These are difficult times. And if you believe in justice, progress, and democracy, the news you read and listen to can be pretty depressing. And that's why there's a new podcast called Good News for Lefties and America. Every day it features positive news stories for progressive listeners. Because no matter how disturbing the headlines might be, there's always hope we can build on for a better tomorrow. Good News for Lefties and America. Listen on this platform at goodnewsforlefties.com or wherever podcasts are heard.
This is our Good Government Show questionnaire. We're going to get to the heart of your philosophy of government. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You just said this. Define good government.
Again, I think good government is that government works where the people are at its lowest level. You have people who are empowered and have agency to do their jobs and to respond to whatever the needs are and the concerns are of our residents.
So after 11 years, how do you judge your success and how do you do it on a daily or weekly basis?
So, what gets measured gets done. So we do measure a lot of things. So one of my goals was diversifying our workforce so that it really reflected the demographics of the city in which we live. And so every month I look at our numbers. Who are we hiring? Are we recruiting? Are we figuring out how we can tap into the incredible talent pool that we have in the city of Albany so that we're hiring people from the city who reflect the demographics of our city? We look at, we have an app that we use called See-Click-Fix. Some people used to call it See-Click-Ignore. So there were growing pains with it.
Okay.
But I have a team of people who they give me data every month telling me what type of complaints we're getting, how long it's taking us to respond. And then we sometimes take a deeper dive, right? So why are we going to clean up lots on this street every month? And can we proactively be doing something different? And that's where I'll bring in our planning department or I'll bring in our codes department so that we can really focus on a problem area and be proactive with it instead of reactive with it. So we're measuring these all the time. Crime, I mean, safety is a huge issue. If your
Sure.
city isn't safe, then nothing else matters. And so looking at, we had a spike during COVID, as everybody did, 2020, 2021, we've started to see the numbers go down. We're driving them down, but we're doing it very intentionally. And I always ask the police chief, what's working? Why have we cut automobile thefts by 47%? What are you doing? And part of that was a huge public information campaign because you know what? People's cars get stolen because they leave them running with the keys in them while somebody runs into the store.
When people leave their engine on and walk away.
So we did a huge campaign where we would give people a nice warning, and then if it happened another time, we'd ticket them. But we told people we were doing that. So really looking at measuring what are the outcomes you're looking for, and then asking that deeper dive of, okay, yeah, this is moving in the right direction, but why? Do we know why? And I think that's a really important question to ask as well.
If your people, the citizens of Albany, don't feel like they're getting good government or the government they want, what would you like them to do?
I want them to vote. I've said over and over again, I would rather lose an election with an 85% voter turnout than win an election with a 20% voter turnout. And it does.
How was the turnout last time?
It wasn't great. And it
Okay.
continues to go down in our local elections. I think part of it is that we're an off-year election. Part of it is that we are a predominantly Democrat city, and so the election happens in the primary.
Right.
And but people don't participate. And I think, in the national elections, we do participate. We have pretty good voter turnout. Actually, we were the votingest city in the 2020 election in New York State.
All right.
But for local elections, people need to realize that they've got to show up, and that the people that are representing you on our common council or in the county legislature or in the mayor's office are probably more important to your day-to-day life than who you're electing to send to Congress.
Does that make you crazy?
No, I mean, I probably am crazy, but that's another whole podcast.
Okay, sorry.
but I do encourage people to participate, show up at the meetings, go to your neighborhood association meeting, work, advocate. I'm here to serve you. And so if I don't know what it is that you need in your neighborhood or what the challenges that you're facing, I can't help. And so I do want to hear from you.
It drives me crazy when people say, I don't vote. All those politicians, they're all the same. They're all corrupt. No, man, you got to vote. Yeah. So you were treasurer and now you're mayor, 11 years. Certainly a government insider. What would you like people to know about government?
Well, I came to government from the private sector. I never thought that I would run for public office, but I've always been involved in my community. And that was an example that my parents set for me, whether it was participating in the PTA or being part of our neighborhood association. My parents always participated. And so it came naturally to me, whether it was being involved in my church. I was commissioner for Pop Warner football. My husband was on the board for
okay, so you
Albany
were commissioner for
soccer.
Pop Warner football. Did
Yes.
you play a lot of football, did you?
No, my son played. My son played.
All right.
So I've always been involved, and that's a great way to really get to know your community and to know the people and to get an understanding of where resources are being funneled and where they're not being funneled and where there's need. And so, for me, the thing about government is that it's us, right? It shouldn't be a mystery. And really, whether you're the mayor or whether you're just a resident who wants to make sure that the park that their grandchild plays in doesn't have needles in it, right?
Yes.
You have an ability to impact that and to influence that. You can't just sit back and say, the mayor ought to do this, right? I mean, there was a conversation that happened online about somebody talking about garbage on a particular street, that they saw somebody throw garbage on the ground. And they immediately started criticizing me and the governor. And somebody jumped in and said, well, wait a minute, did Kathy Sheehan throw the garbage on the sidewalk? Did the governor walk down the street and she threw it on the sidewalk? Come on, people. This won't work if we just sit back and say, government needs to fix this. We have to fix it, the people. And so for me, that's, I got in office, I'm the mayor, and I'm here to tell you, there are no magic powers. There was not a little magic wand in the desk when I opened the drawer. I don't have a cape. I can't fly around the city and prevent bad things from happening. I can have good people in place and policies in place and work really hard to ensure that young people have opportunity. Those are all things that I can control, but ultimately, or I can influence, I should say, but ultimately it comes down to us, the people, being good citizens, teaching our kids not to throw garbage on the street, and taking agency in making our neighborhoods and our communities a great place.
What's the best part of being mayor of Albany?
I love going into schools and talking to kids. I love reading to them. I love when they ask me questions. Kids ask me questions that are way harder than the questions you're asking me.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, they're great, right? I mean, I have third graders who care about homelessness. They care about jobs. They care about litter.
I'm trying to think of harder questions there.
But they really kind of stump me sometimes. But I love being able to go in. I love that there are still kids who say our mayor is a lady. It's just and then they really want to know how did you become mayor? Because they want to be able to see themselves in that future. And so I love that piece of it.
What's the hardest part of the job?
That call at 3:00 in the morning that there's been a shooting and, that you've got a
get up
17-year-old child who's been killed and you've got to talk to mom and dad and then you've got to have a community who's understandably upset and scared and want to know what you're doing about violence. Or, you get the call and there's a massive fire and you show up and there are 40 people that are standing on the sidewalk because everything that they own is just burned in an apartment building. So those are challenges. They also require leadership. So they require action. And I'm very action oriented. So I'm doing in those situations. But after the fact, it's hard. It's really hard. We have a young woman who was attending UAlbany. She was at I think it was a party outside. And some folks on dirt bikes came through and they were doing wheelies and being very reckless, and they hit her. And she was in a medically induced coma for weeks. And, her parents blame me, right? I didn't do enough. Even though we outlawed dirt bikes, we have all kinds of different ways that we track them. You can't chase them. That makes people more unsafe.
Right.
But we follow them with drones. We've done lots with enforcement. We've reduced greatly the number of dirt bikes being driven in our city. But just as drunk driving is illegal and we have people who are killed by drunk drivers, this young woman was gravely injured. That's hard.
Sure.
It's hard to take action and to be empathetic. And you bring that home with you, which is why I come to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, because it's therapy.
Okay. Do you read about yourself in the paper?
No.
Do you read? You don't?
No.
The opinion columns? Nothing?
I don't follow
the headlines even when you get your briefing?
my staff does.
Yeah.
And there are sometimes things that I have to respond to because they're wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So, but I gave up a long time ago trying to, control the narrative for certain reporters and certain opinion writers. I just do my job and I work really hard and I do the best that I can. And I think that I connect a lot with people, and most people provide me with positive feedback. And
where do you get your news from? What do you read? Do you get the Times Union at the front door?
I read the New York Times. I don't get the Times Union at the front door because they can't deliver it on time. So I used to be one of those people who my husband and I loved getting the newspaper.
Sure.
And, we're at work by the time it would hit our stoop. So we gave up on that. We get it on Sunday.
Okay.
But I read the New York Times. I keep up on breaking news from our local media. And it's not that I don't care what the newspaper writes, but I can't allow it to govern my day to day. And I think people are going to have their opinions of me. And so I don't play to that. I just do what I think is the right thing.
Who's your political hero? Who inspires you?
Oh, wow. I think, Nancy Pelosi is a rock star to me.
Okay.
Because she is somebody who not only does she, I think, did this work for the right reasons, but she's super strategic. And she knows how to build coalitions. She knows how to count the votes.
Yep.
I wish I were better at that.
Okay.
I really
Have you met
admire her.
And talked?
Yeah, I've met her. Okay.
Yes.
I don't think she would know who I am, but I've met her, and I'm a big fan. I think that there are also, though, people who aren't in elected office who really inspire me. There's a woman, Barbara Smith, who very early on supported me, and she was a civil rights activist, and she disagrees with me a lot, but again, we can disagree and not be disagreeable.
Right.
But she's somebody who constantly challenged me. There was another woman, she's since passed away, Vera Michelson. Everyone called her Mike. You need that. You need your conscience. You need the folks who are going to say, I didn't really like this decision that you made, and here's why. Or have you thought about the impact that this is going to have on a single mom who doesn't have access to transportation? So those are people who inspire me too, because again, it comes back to, I think governance doesn't happen at the top. It happens to me from the ground up.
You said before you didn't really see yourself in politics, but growing up, were you active in your student government? Did you Did you think someday you would run for office?
I gave up my political career in third grade. I ran for class president. My opponents were David Webb and Shelley Watson.
Wow, this is a grudge that's gone on a long time.
And Shelley and I, we divided the girl vote in the class. All the boys voted for David, and that was it. That was my lesson. That was my Nancy Pelosi moment. I didn't count the votes. I always
you could have flipped a coin with her.
Right. I should have worked it out with Shelley.
Exactly.
I could have backed her. She
something.
We could have done something.
Lesson learned in third grade. Okay.
Lesson learned. But I always took on leadership roles in various organizations that I was a part of, whether it was my sorority in college or I was part of an organization called the Women's Press Club because I used to be in media myself.
Good.
And took on a leadership role. So I've always been willing to be at the table, and I think that helped to prepare me, but I never thought I'd be at the head of the table. I always liked the supporting role.
However.
So this got me out of my comfort zone.
All right. As I said, I've been to Albany a few times, but I want to come up before your mayoralty ends. Take me out to Albany. What's the dish of Albany? What are we having? Where are we going? What's your favorite thing to eat in Albany?
Oh, so first of all, I can't pick. It's like picking your favorite child. I only have one, and I haven't even picked him. But but we have great restaurants. We have a really great local restaurant scene.
Yeah.
There was a guy who used to try to. He never got on the ballot, but he always tried to be a write-in candidate for mayor.
Okay.
And I think his campaign slogan was he wanted an Olive Garden in Albany. We have chain restaurants all around us.
That was his goal, huh?
And yeah.
He does not have my vote.
But I like the fact that we have an incredible small business ecosystem of people who really care about our city, that I can pick up the phone and I can call and I can say, hey, I have this idea. Are you on board? And they're on board. When I needed help figuring out how we were going to spend our American Rescue Plan dollars, I was able to get 40 people at the table from our arts organizations, from our local businesses, from our not-for-profits, and have people provide amazing input to help ensure that we were investing in our community in ways that really were going to be transformative. And so that's what I love. It's a city where people care.
Does Albany have a local cuisine? Do they have a local dish? Something you can only get in Albany?
There are many folks who would say that we have the best of a lot of things, but that's really hard.
Okay.
When, you've got this little town called New York City that's, 2 hours and 20 minutes by train.
True.
But, I think that what we bring to our cuisine is heart.
Okay.
And
right.
it is our secret sauce.
You've got a year and a half to go as mayor. Tell me something you want to make sure you implement before you leave.
So I have 4 things that have to be done before I leave. One of them is really boring. Our historic city hall needs a new roof.
Okay, that is boring.
That is boring. It's also $15 million.
But it's also practical.
It's really boring, but it's practical. We have an H.H. Richardson designed city hall. So it's historic. At the time that it was built, it was one of the 10 greatest examples of American architecture. So it's a special place. But we are also replacing a 100-year-old pool in our Lincoln Park with a new facility that's going to have a zero entry pool, a lap pool, a splash pad with a slide. It's going to be awesome and amazing. And
are you going to take the first high dive off the
I don't know about the dive.
Okay.
I may go down the slide.
All right.
I may go down the slide.
You can handle the slide. Okay.
And we're completely renovating our South End Community Center, and we're building a new community center in West Hill. And all of those I hope to have done before December 31st, 2025.
Before you go. Mayor Kathy Sheehan of Albany, New York. It has been a pleasure talking with you. Everyone said that I should talk to you, and I'm certainly glad that I did. I have a feeling you don't spend a lot of downtime.
No. I'll find something to do.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, and it was great to meet you.
Thank you.
The Good Government Show is sponsored by Our. That's OUR for our community. Get involved. We hear that all the time from government leaders. Our co-brands with your government's name and logo. Your staff and the people you serve are connected and part of your community. From any device, your members provide reliable data and meaningful feedback. Ask a question like, do we want more parkland or better homeless services? More engaged conversations come through the Our app. Visit Ourco, that's OURCO.com, and book a demonstration. After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia, and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt, talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. Good government in action in Albany. To review, Mayor Kathy Sheehan saw a problem. She got a sustainable energy position created and funded, and then with the work she directed, the city saved enough money to create an entire program. That may be the secret sauce she looks for in other cities, just right there in her own city. Mayor Sheehan is stepping down after the end of her term this year. Sounds like she did a good job delivering good government in a city that really needs it. So well done, Mayor Sheehan, and good luck with retirement. But with luck, the next mayor will build on what she's done. City government is a challenge, she said. Well said and well done. Well, that's our show. Thanks for listening. Please like us and share us with your friends and review us right here where you're listening. And check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com, for extras. Help us keep telling stories of good government in action everywhere. Join us again for another episode right here. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.